For the future campaign, I will pick a different opening song that's shorter. That way, especially people who just listen in don't get confused about which thing is starting. Hello, everyone. Eric Watson here, freelance writer at Player Gamers, writer for recorded videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to the Monday edition of Bye Bye, a weekly behind-the-scenes, DM-only live stream Crafting the Deep, which I build right and prepare for our next session of Call from the Deep and drink a massive rum and coke zero that I just fixed because I just got in like 15 minutes ago from my kiddo's softball game where she did get a hit. So did like everybody on the team, but still it was awesome. If you're playing characters Gottwald, Max Sauer, or Twirl, this stream is not meant for you to be full of spoilers, but for the rest of you, welcome. We stream our D&D sessions live on YouTube every Friday. You can join our official Discord server with invite link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, let's check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. For our campaign, we use Roll20 for streaming. I use OBS Studio. Tonight, we have to figure out how to unfuck this problem. We're going to do it together because my party, love them though I do, has burdened me, burdened by aggroing the dungeon as they are wont to do. You can lead a party to a dungeon, but you cannot force them to do it stealthily. You cannot force them to do it socially, nor can you force them to go all battle in if that's what you wanted to do. This was not the beginnings that I was hoping for, clearly. But it's the way it's going to be, at least for now. So I'm going to have to run it logically. Interestingly, there's a lot of enemies here, but they are a lot weaker than the party. At least until we get to the bosses, basically. Tentrix and Scummer and Powder and all those. But like all these minion guys is really not going to be too hard for the party. I did manage to dispel Savra's Sickening Radiance, which was pretty big, using the Myrniloth, although Mac then went after the Myrniloth, so he's doing it pretty tactically interesting, I think. In fact, I need to remove him from this map, but unfortunately, if I do that, it removes him from the initiative order, so maybe I'll just hide him in here for now. So we left it off, which another session we had to leave off in the middle of combat. Y'all, I hardly had to do this at all in our last campaign. I don't know what it is about. I'm trying not to throw these big combat sequences at the party. I mean, occasionally I do, but I don't know. This, it just seems like we've had a lot of combat, which that's, I guess, really the reason I'm getting at. I didn't want this to be a big combat because we've just had so much combat lately, and now it's up to the party to get themselves out of it, though. Like, this is the main villain's lair, and he's going to keep things fairly organized, and maybe if I'm smart, I can have, after a round, Tentrix will appear. In fact, I think we had his homunculus. Let's see if that was on this. I think it was on the next one, actually. Also, yeah, it's real fun going through 3 layers. Yeah, so the homunculus basically already made it to Tentrix. So Tentrix has been informed. Alarms are going off. We need to adjust. Basically, we need to make adjustments. It's possible the party may still back off and try to re-stealth. I even talked about that to Raymond during the chat, the post-session chat last week, about how I'm inspired by a lot of video games that allow you to flub a heist and then reacquire stealth mode just by being smart and hiding and staying in a line of sight and all that. D&D is not necessarily set up to do that very well, especially for every different character, especially with a party, really. That's all those video games, you've got like one person you're really trying to. It's really hard to redo that when you have a full party of people, I guess. So Tentrix. Let me think. All right, so the goblin boss here in room 2 was opening the door. The player saw that. He ran back inside, shut the door. He's basically going to be unlocking the ogre zombie and letting that loose out here, just kind of directing it where he needs to go. However, that may just keep Twirl busy because Twirl's here with Big T entering up into the room, but that room does lead to the bar. I could have the bard come out that way as well. Actually, now that the Sickening Radiance is gone, I could have the bard just step back into the bar area and cast spells through the windows. What kind of spells he's got? Let's see. Invisibility, Shatter, Thunderwave, Sleep, Charm Person, Taunt. Bard gains a bonus action to turn to target one creature within 30 feet of it. If the target can hear the bar, the target must succeed DC 12. Christmas Saber have disadvantage on ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws to the start of the bard's next turn. All right. Just a bonus action, single target debuff. That's pretty solid. In terms of just a random spell he can cast, though, I guess he can always escape with invisibility, but Shatter would probably be the go-to thing just to unleash at people. Although shattering in the boss's lair may not be that good of a thing to do, but otherwise that's pretty much the only thing he's going to be capable of, I guess, firing a short bow. Spells aren't as explosive as I was hoping for. I mean, these guys are all kind of sitting ducks. They were just going to charge outside to attack, and Salbra's got definitely range on a lot of people. The other thing I should talk about is how to introduce Gottwald. This might be one of the trickiest sessions we have to introduce a missing player. Whenever Toro, it happened to Toro, we had the ship you could still appear on, I think. I don't know if we've had anybody ever miss from the middle of a dungeon crawl before. And we're not even in the middle of it. I guess we could just have Gottwald appear on another boat. It just happens he was like right behind them or something. And I'm really going to have to introduce him like right off the bat, because I don't want to go through, like normally I'd be like, oh, let's go through a round or two of combat before Gottwald gets here. But like, look at how much shit's on the initiative order. Like that's going to be way too long to go by just having one player sit out. So I think we're going to have Gottwald roll up on a ship somewhere. Or maybe he's got swimming capabilities that I forget about and he can swim. I don't forget if he... forgot if he's got a necklace of adaptation. I don't know if he has anything else in terms of gives him swimming. I forget. Did anybody get that ring of swimming? What else can we do here? You'd have the minions do a strategic retreat and set them up under fortifications and stuff around corners. Either you luck out and the party regroups. Worst case, they make chase and everyone is in one place. Yeah, I'll leave the zone and come back. How large is the map? So far, the last thing they did was Savra's Shatter. That was a sound of 300 feet. 300 feet's a long way. Also, she did cast the giant radiation, sickening radiance thing in the middle of the bar. It was like literally localized like right here. So that was pretty obvious there was something going on. And I think they've been able to shout with each other. Like, you could maybe argue like some of these guys in the very back maybe wouldn't be hearing, but at this point, Tentrix has been alerted. I had the homunculus in the middle of the area, and the homunculus flew all the way to Tentrix. So once he's heard that, see, she shattered up here. Oh, yeah. So right from the point where she's shattering, 160 feet takes to the end of the map. So clearly everybody heard that explosive shatter. And again, I feel like, they've got dossiers on the parties. They're like, oh yeah, Shatter, Sickening Radiance, that must be the Lizard Wizard. So the villains are now fully aware. They can be a bit disorganized at first, but I think, once Tentrix fully realizes like what's going on, I think we'll probably play this first round with everybody still like running up and doing the things, but maybe we can have Tentrix appear on the very top, and he can be doing things from the top round and really just... I'm really not going to take it easy on the party, because they kind of flubbed everything coming in here, and that should give the villain the upper hand. Gottwald flies in via ballista. The old flying cow. Gottwald was holding on under the boat, so we didn't come out after the fight started. His first round was from the edge and climb out. Just have him roll initiative and he joins. There you go. That's honestly probably what we'll end up doing. So Tentrix and Scummer are up here, which you could have Scummer up here at first if you want to do like a mini boss thing, because Scummer does have the ability to turn invisible, I think. Yeah, he's got invisibility he can cast twice a day, so he can easily do that to get into whatever position he needs to, and then he can even throw a fireball around, although a fireball on top of a bunch of wooden ships may not be the most great thing to do. Hurl Flames is normal. Attack that he's got. Fear is a really good spell. Actually, a lot of his stuff is just fire-based. Resistant to a lot of elemental damage, though. So we could have him come out if we didn't want to have Tentrix necessarily come out all the way. That could be a thing. Fireball the escape robo. That's pretty good. Yeah, they never said that they Although there are boats everywhere. I've actually made that pretty obvious. Tentrix has voiced the Kraken, which is everybody. Creatures of his choice that can hear Slarkarthel's words must succeed a DC 15 Charisma saving throw or be frightened for a minute. DC 15, audible within 300 feet. So literally, I could do that anytime. Just a giant AoE, force charisma save, or have the frightened condition, which could fuck him up pretty bad. That's a pretty high charisma save. You only get it once, though, basically once per battle. Recharge after a short rest. If he's at range somewhere, which would be pretty advantageous, he can hurl Thunderbolts or throw down Everard's Black Lightning or Black Tentacles as Call Lightning. That's a pretty good range, isn't it? 120 feet. Storm Cloud appears in the shape of a cylinder, is 10 feet tall. 60-foot radius, and at a point you can see within range above you. So he has to be 120 feet visible. But, you could argue that he could just look up. He could just step out of his office and look up at the sky and cast it, right? Excuse me. When you cast a spell, choose a point you can see under the cloud. A bolt of lightning flashes down. Okay, but you do have to see where the lightning strikes. I guess that's a bit more limiting. Cast a spell, choose a point you can see under the cloud. A bolt of lightning flashes down from the cloud to that point. Each creature within 5 feet of that point must make a dex saving throw for 3d10 lightning damage. Okay, so he still has to be able to kind of direct the lightning. Very, very frightening. Everard's is 90 feet. Hunger of Hadar is 150 feet for range. All three of them concentrations. You kind of have to pick and choose. Counterspell is very nice to have. Mr. Tentrix, 60-foot range. And he does have legendary actions where he can cast a spell as legendary actions or do his Thunder Stride. Teleport in occupied space. The 30 feet basically do that Thunder Step ability. 30 feet of movement is the limiting factor here. If I don't cheat, 30 feet gets him out of his office. 60 feet gets him out of his ship. If he's out of the ship, then he can't see the party because that's actually breaks line of sight there. You'd have to get on this ship. So maybe he'd rather have everybody retreat, pull back. Maybe he sends Scummer up, but he stays back on his ship. They already pulled a double Chewbacca. I did think about Demnix, although I'm almost afraid of what the party is going to do, is have them wheel out Sandbalay, because we already talked about how Sandbalay is the prisoner they've got in the prison. Have them come out with Sandbalay with a knife to his throat. Be like, all right, stand down or we kill this guy. But I think we all know what the party's going to do in that situation. They're like, fuck that guy, I don't care. And then they've just killed off another NPC. Joke's on you. You thought we had moral authority. You were wrong. What is their defenses? I guess the defense was Driftwood Docks. Let me get through Driftwood Docks, then I don't have much. I think these guys are... I guess I could have them come down the wall here. I really wanted to keep just adding people. Almost make it like an overwhelming show of force where the party's like, oh man, this is too much, we have to retreat. But I don't know what that number looks like. Also without being too damn tedious. So these guys can be added to the initiative. Is that dynamically lit? It is. Have the giant come back with Borgus as a hostage. They're gonna let Borgus die. Having the giant come back would obviously be a lot of fun. It really depends on how everything's going on now. Be a very pissed off giant. He does have the Ring of Swimming, so he'd be able to like emerge from the water. Yeah, in fact, I'm gonna put him on the map just to have in my back pocket. But I mean, at this point, they've got so much shit going on. I'm gonna have so much shit going on, frankly. There he is. I want to add additional things to the fight. He is still wounded. He's at half health, and the party did start this fight pretty quick, so I'm not sure I would actually even have him heal up any. Only if they end up kicking ass and fortifying themselves inside the fort would I then add the giant. That'd be pretty interesting. So yeah, maybe the most interesting thing is to... Yeah, the whole crew. As they went and the ship got raided. If they didn't have so much going on here, I would almost consider leaving Gottwald on the ship and have him deal with like a raiding party with the giant. But I think that's too much. Because then it's like Gottwald with the NPCs. You could give the rest of the characters... And keep in mind, we're not going to have Raymond this week either. He's on vacation this time. Chris was on vacation last week. So they're going to even down another player. So I really don't want to keep Gottwald away. So we definitely have to have Gottwald here. So we're thinking about the idea of their ship being raided. I don't want to make it too fakey, like I'm punishing the party right off the bat by like, oh yeah, your ship got screwed up. But they did mention the fact they're on... The thing is, I warned them they're on a time crunch, and then the party went and got into a fight immediately, and we know combat, even though it takes a long time for us in the real world, combat is almost no time elapsed in the game world, right? So to say like, to warn them like, hey, you're on a time crunch, and then to say at the start of next episode, oh hey, your ship's being raided already, that feels very disingenuous. Now, if during this fight, Tentrix comes out and says, you need to stand down or your ship will be destroyed, and then, I don't know, there's a flare or something that blasts off, and they can see in the distance, like, other ships pointed towards their ship, then that might give the party an interesting choice to make, right? That, at least it feels a little bit more fair. Then it's like, oh, hey, this is the consequence for you guys getting into the fight right now, is you just immediately put your other ship and crew in danger. Now, they already said, like, oh, well, fuck the ship, we don't really care. But, yeah, in terms of it being their NPC allies getting in trouble, that may make them care a little bit more. But also, they may feel like, well, we can't surrender here, right? Like, how do you... this is an interesting question. Like, can you ever actually really force players to surrender without forcing them to surrender? You know what I mean? Like, can you create that motivation? I don't think I'm close to that. They've fled before, mostly very cinematically, where you can kind of tell you're supposed to flee. But I don't know if we've ever had a situation where the party's like, yeah, we'll surrender, take us to the brig or whatever. That is a very tricky thing to do, even with the villain threatening them, which sounds cool. Like, it could be very memorable, but the party may just feel like, oh, well, that's just to like up the tension and the stakes. We're still fighting this. It just feels like they're kind of locked in and like, oh, well, we have to fight this. And I've got no NPCs to tell them otherwise here. A lot of times I have the voice of the NPCs, like Borges or somebody, can try to be like the DM telling them things, but they're on their own. They'd negotiate for Borges. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe Gottwald becomes the hostage. It's interesting. Are you looking to make combat harder, or are you trying to create a pause to have a social scenario? I'm not necessarily looking to make combat harder. It's hard to say right now, right? Like, the party's kicking ass, but there's a lot of minions here. So they are going to try... I mean, this kind of feels like a Dynasty Warriors moment, really, where they're just taking on, like, so many people. A lot of this really comes down to Savra's spell slots, honestly. I've learned that's what's, like, the deciding factor here. She did Arcane Recovery last time, so she's got a few more. She's still been hanging on to one 5th level spell slot, which is very impressive. She's out of thirds. out of fourths, so she can do one more Sickening Radiance or Gravity Sinkhole, or save it for one of her 5th levels, which is Enervation and Synaptic Static. She can do one of those things I just said. She has one 1st level spell slot, which is 90% going to be a shield, and 2 2nd level spell slots. So she is running out of gas for sure, which is very interesting. Now, Toril just had a short rest, so he's still got his spell slots, and he just used one to summon Big B's Hand, which is a very, very powerful ability for him because it's very hard to break his concentration, and it gives him just extra attacks and flexibility. He's been already really enjoying that, it seems like. So that's been pretty powerful. Yeah, they're going to be hurting because they haven't fought any of the actual bosses. So yeah, maybe they will be more inclined to retreat, especially if they see all these guys barreling down on them. The other big factor is they don't have Mac. They just lost Mac this week because Ray's on vacation. I did kind of try to flavor it like, oh, where Mac was taking on the Mrinaloth up there. So I was literally going to flavor it like, okay, maybe as he fights the Mrinaloth, either he's out of line of sight, the party doesn't know what's going on up there, or the Mrinaloth maybe teleports away with him and Mac there, and so they're still, duking it out somewhere else. But Mac is gone. What's funny is Mac's gone a lot whenever they get into dangerous situations. That's not too unusual for that to happen, but that could also color their expectations. They lose Mac, they gain Gottwald, which Gottwald will be fully prepared to fight. And hit point wise, everybody's doing just fine. Like everybody's been hardly scratched. These are all very low level, just regular lizard folk, bandits. Minotaur's a bit stronger back here. Ogre zombie, a little stronger, but also, very low AC and only has the 1 attack, I believe. So a lot of these guys aren't really going to cause any problems until we get to some of these more powerful mini bosses like Powder in the workshop or Tentrix and Scummer. So maybe what I'm thinking, we'll have Tentrix and Scummer out first because he can do invisible and appear and cast his range magic and just kind of feel the waters and see how it's going. And then maybe Tentrix can support via range by A, using Voice the Kraken to frighten everybody, and then B, maybe summoning a Call Lightning or something depending on his line of sight he's got, just to rain down some range attacks and really force the party to get pretty creative. I did mention the fact that I'm willing for the party to try and get out of combat, either by surrendering or just escaping as best they can, whatever they want to do. It's not going to be easy for them, and I'm not going to let it be terribly easy for them, but I am going to give them that chance, I guess, or the ability to try to work through this. What if Gottwald decides to ram the ship into the fortress? That's a great fucking idea. That's a great fucking idea. If we put Gottwald back on the ship. At that point, holy shit. I'm not prepared for that at all. To cause that much devastation and destruction. This is the kind of thing that sounds really great. But when working with a virtual tabletop, I'm like, well, shit, how do I do that kind of like real-time terrain deformation and just shove their ship in here? I mean, I can. Their ship is a token. I can literally like bust it in here, which would be pretty amazing. Literally say goodbye to their ship. I did mention that there's other ships in the port, though, too. So, like, maybe if they have word that that's going to happen, a couple of the other ships, like, wake up and start attacking, which maybe that can be part of the fun, is the person driving the ship is getting bombarded, by attacks as they make it in there. I feel like that's one of the things I will have to talk to Chris about before Friday and just be like, hey, here's a couple options for you in terms of how to rejoin the fight. One of them is a very dramatic, that also brings all their NPCs in here, which means they're very killable, but that, I mean, yeah, if you're not doing the heist thing anymore, then why not just bring on the war? That's a hell of an idea, Morgan. She has a rope trick. Yeah, I don't think she's ever used that before, right? I don't think she's ever used a rope trick. Let's see, Scummer's movement of 30 feet. Telepathy, regeneration. Invisibility is what's going to help him. He can pop invisibility, get up into position. Although if he pops invisibility, he can only move 30 feet, I guess, because that's an action. So if he does that, that gets him to wonder if he can always just jump down. That would help too. He's a frog man. Surely he can jump down as a large person. I would, Gottwald would argue like, hey, can I jump down like 10 feet if I'm big? So maybe I can have him go invisible. He jumps down. He makes it to here, 30 feet. Although if I want him to stay up, because he's actually good at doing the range stuff. So he goes invisible. He goes 30 feet. That's one round. And then he can go 60 feet. Actually, you only have to make it to these windows, don't you? Then you're on the second floor. 40, yeah, but that's a dash still. So it takes Scummer, if I want him to be invisible, 2 rounds just to get into position. And position being a place where they've got line of sight of the party. Sort of, right? Like, Twirl's like outside in the east corner here by a locked door. He sounded like he wanted to get inside, though. And then Sabra's down by the main gate. Gottwald would presumably just be with Sabra or Twirl basically following them in. So I'm picturing the main fight area is going to be the actual main quote-unquote kill zone that would be this area. So in that case, just, yeah, being in the second floor here where you can step up and just rain attacks down would be pretty damn useful. So if I can get... But it would take me 2 full rounds to get Scummer into position. I don't think he does have shift. I think he just has visibility. Detect thoughts, detect magic, mage hand at will, fear and invisibility twice per day, and a fireball once per day. I don't have to go invisible, I guess. I feel like Scummer probably would. Just to make sure he doesn't run into any problems and gets a good area. By the way, these guys are alerting these guys, so I should roll initiative for all these guys as well. It's going to keep adding people. And that's the other thing is I got to try to do it in waves, right? Just keep adding people in waves. Going to these other maps and adding them. And having them all roll up, which I think bandits all have the crossbow range attack, which is nice. I don't think... Do orcs have a ranged attack? I think they just have javelins or something. Yeah, which javelin's fine. Thugs... One of these guys doesn't have a range attack. I might have given... Yeah, I don't know. Thugs have a heavy crossbow. They just suck at it, +2. Okay, so everybody could be up here, like, shooting attacks down at the party as well. I just hope it's a fun thing, really. It's not... I'm not trying to make it... I guess I'm trying to make it a little bit harder, but to me, harder is going to make it more fun and interesting, right? Because right now, if it's just the party defeating wave after wave of guys, I guess that's fun in games like Diablo and stuff, but I don't know, with D&D, I feel like I need to be doing some things that's actually going to, like, try to hurt the party and just do enough guys where they're like, oh shit, these are so many people, we're out of stuff we can do. Like, at some point, Zabra's going to run out of spells, although she's still got a couple shatters lined up that she could do, which would do good stuff. Gottwald can take some people out. Twirl stuff can take people out. They're very tanky. So hopefully once Scummer gets into position, I guess we'll just see what happens in 2 or more rounds. And then Tentrix in those 2 rounds can also get into position. If he moves 60 feet... I don't know how much he would want to expose himself. Technically, he's on the 3rd level here. Well, no, he's on the 2nd level. I guess the above him is the 3rd level. So he could go up to the 3rd level. Just go up the stairs above him. That still doesn't give him line of sight, though, because this ship would block that area. Man, it's a tough map to work my head around. Because Tentrix is most useful, like Scummer, when he's back doing long-range attacks. So the tricky thing is not to... So the party could actually kind of use this to their advantage by using all the windows and peeking out and doing line of sight and stuff. So Tentrix would probably stay back here. And I could maybe include Drowned Wolfgar as the jailer. I'd probably keep Powder in her office, unless things got really fucked inside the whole area. Those guys also got Call Lightning and Everett's Black Tentacles. Damn, that's pretty useful. I'm going to give him 15 armor class, though, because I think that was something they changed in the new version of the Kraken Priest. Also has his own voice, the Kraken, technically. But I think it's more thematic if just the boss does it. So yeah, this is me just trying to work through the rather overwhelming battle scene that the party has concocted and just try to make it interesting and fun and logical in a way. We could maybe just summon the Colossal Octopus early too. I was saving that thing for later. But if that's something that Tentrix can just do, which is mentioned in the chapter somewhere, I believe. Tentrix's quarters. Audience chamber. Petrified audience. No, before that. The hold. And for the first time, still talking things out. Ogre zombie. If fight breaks out in the room. The character has a notice following occurs. Does a cast dominate person. Uses spells. Attack the characters. The bandits attack with their crossbows. Tentrix screams, insults the characters as a colossal octopus emerges from the hole behind him. He and Scummer run over the beast area T13, where Tentrix casts flesh to stone from a spell scroll, turning the colossal octopus into stone, blocking the entrance to area T13 after them. I would rather just use the colossal octopus as a mini boss, man. If you're gonna cast flesh to stone, cast in the fucking party. don't do that to your little cool mini boss thing. That's a great point, Demnix. Or a great question. Are the Black Armada behind the whole Kraken Society thing, or would a reveal maybe initiate immunity? Immunity. Diplomatic immunity. Like lead the weapon too. Story-wise, Tentrix is a Kraken priest. I don't know how much the others know about that. I mean, that's probably what he's been preaching to everybody, even though they're not all believers of it, right? It's like your boss comes in and it's like, oh, hey, this is all due to, number one, Lord and Savior, Slarkerthel. And everybody's like, yeah, okay. I'm in it because of the paycheck kind of a thing. But what nobody knows is that Slarkerthel has actually been taken over by Zelix 4, the Elder Brain. Tentrix coordinated the attacks after receiving a message from Slarkerthel. Yeah, Tentrix doesn't know he's been replaced. Knows the Kraken layers in a Scarl. Tentrix cares little for his life, and the Kraken can bring him back to death. Threats to his floating layer crack his stern exterior. If layers threaten, it reveals information. I'm trying to read now, see how much the others know. Yeah, Scummer controls him. And Scummer does have we keep forgetting about the fucking Merid conch. Damn it. I keep forgetting about the Merid conch. We gotta talk about that. Where are you? So I established that this is one of the big quests. So I remember early in the campaign when the ghost pirates went and attacked the Aboleth. That was like the big goal of the Battle of Neverwinter, right? Well, in the campaign, there's 3 different cities, each of which has a major goal that the villains are trying to do. One of them is assassinate the Aboleth. One of them is kidnap somebody, a high-ranking wizard, and the third is to steal this Merid conch. So I actually said, okay, what if the Merid conch thing did happen, and the villains did acquire it? But I can't really literally make it like a genie lamp because I don't want to give my guy the 3 wishes. When using action from the conch cloud of sea mist, at the end of your turn, the mist disappears. A flash of harmless lightning and a Merid appears on occupied space in 30 feet of you. First time the shell is rubbed. Unless he already rubbed said shell. The Merid serves you for one. I keep saying made. The Merid serves you for 1 hour, doing as you command. The Merid then returns the conch. Conch can be made again for 24 hours. The next 2 times the conch is used, the same effect occurs. So I could say, okay, maybe it sounds like you only get to do it once, though. Maybe Tentrix already rubbed it, did not get the 10% of it fighting or him giving wish. Instead, he appeared for an hour, did as he commanded, which I don't know what that was. And then maybe he summons the Merid again during this battle, and then that gives the party a chance to summon the Merid one more time. And then the Merid would say, hey, by the way, you look like you're okay. I'm going to give you this quest. That might be a good way of handling it. Because it doesn't say it's the first time the person rubs the shell, which is what happens in like Disney's Aladdin, right? I always thought that bugged me, by the way, as a kid and stuff. At the very end of the movie, they're like, I gotta use my last wish. It's like, dude, you could just hand the lamp to Jasmine, let her get 3 wishes, hand the lamp to the Sultan, let him get 3, just go ahead and stack up these wishes real quick. I guess that's how it starts, right? And it's like, oh, we're never gonna give it up. But still, everybody's like, I only have the 1 wish. It's like, Jasmine's right there. Like, you'd let her fucking do some wishes. But with these rules, it makes it sound like it's literally only ever used 1 time, the first time somebody activates it. And then you have to do the D100 effect, and it either fights you, it gives you wishes, or it can serve you 3 different times, but not within 24 hours of each other. Maybe Toro will mutiny. So yeah, I think what I would probably do is I would say the Black Armada is aware of it. They're maybe not quite as on board with the whole Kraken Priest thing, but it's also given them a lot of power, prestige. Tentrix seems like a good guy, so that's how they're kind of on board with it that way. But nobody would know the information that the party has, which is that Slarkerthal's actually been compromised. He's been like corrupted and all this other stuff. But according to, Tentrix would push back on that and be like, "What do you mean? Like he's been greater than ever, and look at all this wealth and power that we've established so far." So that could be a good little back and forth, I think. But that does mean he can summon a damn Merid. Do I still want to keep the Colossal Octopus? This is getting a little crazy here, right? Did I already add a Merid into... Actually, it should already be a Merid in this campaign. Oh, there it is. Yep. It's a CR11 for the Merid. Whoa, 229 hit points. My goodness. Once per day, invisibility, plane shift, control water, conjure water elemental. They just had to deal with one of those. Although a lot of these spells aren't actually very good for combat. Create and destroy water, detect magic, fog cloud, tongues, water breathing, Cassius form. All these are utility spells except for conjuring a water elemental. So we're being a CR11 spellcaster. Most of those spells aren't really going to be super useful in combat. But he can make 2 trident attacks, which are very strong. And he can shoot... Wow, there's no recharge on this. Magically shoot water in a 60-foot line that is 5 feet wide. Each creature in the line must make a DC 16 dex save, and a failure target takes 66 bludgeoning damage. And if it is huge or smaller, be pushed up to 20 feet away from the Merid and knocked prone. You just do that every single round. Sadly, that's probably the best thing you can do. What is 66 like? It's like 16 damage or something. I rolled 20 damage that time. 15 damage that time. Yeah, I think it's about average. Okay, so maybe not actually as strong as its stat block says it is, although it does have a fuck ton of hit points. That's awkward. Way more than even Tentrix has. Huh. Maybe that would inspire the party to go after Tentrix instead of the Merid. The Merid serves you for an hour, doing as you command. The Merid then returns the conch. Conch can't be activated again for 24. So it's just for 1 hour. I guess I would say if the person holding it goes unconscious or is killed, then that would probably also maybe turn the Merid off, just to be not anticlimactic, I guess. What do we think? Is this too many things to throw at them? We've got... I just said I wasn't going to take it easy on them, didn't I? Eric, you're already having second guesses. Well, if we're going to introduce Scummer, we've got Tentrix, we've got Drowned Wolfgar. I mean, they're going to activate the whole dungeon. And then we've got the Merid Conch, which can summon a Merid, and the Merid could summon a water elemental. If I really wanted to get crazy. Let's get crazy. And then we've got the Colossal Octopus, if I want to introduce that bad boy. BC, AC. And get an average of 229 for hit points. It's really nuts. Is that... Look up the merit on the compendium. Yeah, 229 hit points. CR11. Wow. Also 60-foot fly speed. Ooh. Ooh. So this thing can just fly up in the air and just shoot fucking water from the air. Dang. Or throw tridents. Wow. I think it is large also, isn't it? Yes. So, it's probably the wrong mount to put everybody on. Let's take you, you, and you. Let's copy all of you, since the party may never actually make it up to this level. Let's paste you, whoops, on the bottom level. I already had you here, that's good. Mr. Colossal Octopus. So, Tentrix, put you on the GM layer so I can grab you. Scummer, same to you. And then the Merid could be summoned. It doesn't actually say... Appears in occupied space within 30 feet of you. Okay. So the Merid appears within 30 feet, then it can do as you command. So I guess you'd have to use an action to rub it, and then you would command it, and then I guess it would roll initiative after that. I think the Merid has a name also. What is... I have to find his quest again. Which one? Where do you get the Merid thing from? Is it Waterdeep? Yeah. So go to Waterdeep quests. Nope. There it is. I think. Sultan Klaptikos, is that it? Is he the Merid? Characters free him from imprisonment. Wait, how does that work? Merid Conch. Investigate the stolen Merid Conch that may eventually track it back to the Church of Umberlee. Characters are poking around the Queen's Bar, asking questions. Red Hydra and Emily becomes more hostile. Church of Umberlee. Is that a section I have here? I think this is the Merid. Sultan Klaptikos frees from prison. That's a favor of the characters. Was a great seafaring vessel before he was caught and imprisoned by a Kalashite wizard. So I guess maybe... How do you free him from imprisonment then? This is the quest I want to do, by the way, which I should read more about. It's very social, very fun. It feels like, at least I'm sure the party will get into a giant fight about it. But it's a fun way to get them a like awesome airship. Cast plane shift, take care of the amounts of plane of water, and track down the Hydroloth, which makes sense because Merid can cast plane shift once per day. Can you do that on multiple people? Yeah, you and up to 8 willing creatures. Yeah, so that's how you get to the elemental plane of water. All right, well, I think that's his name then. It's Sultan Klaptikos. Include that as a name. How did they free him from prison? I guess they must have just used... I guess he used the Merid Conch. I don't know how to introduce that. I'll figure out a way to do it, but that'd be a fun thing to get. I think. Although they'll probably fuck this up too. I keep thinking they're gonna end up with this item, but um, they at one point tried to get the item from the frost giant, and then didn't. So maybe they somehow won't get in possession of this either, and they'll have no ships. But you know what? There's plenty of ships in the harbor, as they say. They'll figure something out. Now you know I can only plan so far ahead, and I get nervous when I keep playing in the same area, and they haven't been there yet. Because best laid plans fall apart in the first contact with the enemy. In this case, the players. So if the Sultan is kind of a fun thing to add in there, but kind of just a ranged attacker. And yeah, maybe once the Sultan's involved, once Scummer's involved, the Merit, the players are like, all right, fuck this. And they try to back off or do something. I haven't figured out yet how they're going to learn the information about where to get to Ascarl. Clearly, Tentrix has that information. But I don't have any other way. I mean, they've got to take out Tentrix, right? That's the main quest here. It's got to happen. But I would allow them to regroup and try different assault, but that would also be tricky because then the defenses would be on high alert here. So right now, I think we did aggro these two back guys. I think they're just staying here. Again, the sheriff's office boy's still there. The cook doesn't need to be aggroed. No idea what this lizard guy is doing over here. I completely forgot. The bar can go back downstairs. All the guys in the bar completely emptied out. And they're rushing outside. The guys that were out here in the main area that I labeled as 1 are rushing outside. The barracks hasn't been aggroed yet, but probably needs to be. At some point, I just find it tedious to add all these guys in there, I'll be honest. I was like, all right, we're really just going to fight every single one of these guys? Like, damn. Or the party going to try to come up with something else? They don't know where Tentrix is right now, either. I did tease, if they were paying attention, that one flying bat-like creature near the Marinoloth flew to the northeast. They did see that, but that's the only thing I teased. Colossal Octopus, meanwhile, is a very fun stat block to use. 4 tentacle attacks. Each tentacle attack can grapple. And then once you have a couple people grappled, you can use the tentacle slam to have them slam and stun anybody. 25-foot reach on the tentacles. I guess you could just say that's like a super ability that Tentrix can do, is just summon up this, I don't know, kind of, not even I guess it's not a Kraken though, because they actually have a juvenile Kraken around, that's been my Deus Ex Kraken that shows up to help the party in a jam, this juvenile Kraken from the styes. That might be the one thing I'd introduce also whenever they're going to the final dungeon. Maybe they telepathically, the juvenile Kraken reaches out and it's like, I don't know, I fucking hate these guys. I will help kill them with you. I can feel your power and just do all this. And then I'm sure the party would be like, hell yeah. Like, there's no way we're going to work with normal people, but a psychotic young Kraken, like, now you're talking. I could see that going over very well, which would be pretty funny. Also, the party respects giant monsters, which is also probably fair. Not so much people. But if you're a giant, powerful monster, they'll be like, okay, maybe we need to work with you. You can always do the classic boss wants a piece of them, everyone else stops. But let them get messed up first. Yeah, that's also a tricky thing to pull off in combat, but kind of like pause for cutscene kind of a deal. You might be able to get away with that. Just to help stem the tedium of just constantly doing the battles here. But maybe the party's having a blast with it, and I could learn to love it too. I just feel like we're doing a whole lot of combat here, but I also know that that's kind of what everybody likes to do. So I'm willing to roll with it. Clearly, I've got all the stat blocks, the tokens, the map here for it. It's not particularly fun until I get a boss or two here, because just running 1,000 minions isn't the most fun for the DM, if I'm being honest. Like, it's fun to play Diablo, but it wouldn't be fun if you were the one just playing an RTS where you're directing like legions of minions to run into a wheat shredder kind of a thing, which is what it feels like sometimes. And that's kind of how this is set up, at least in the beginning, which is just a whole lot of kind of weaker minion stat blocks. So, but I think it would get a lot better once we can involve the boss stat blocks that actually have abilities that are really fun, like the Merid, like the Tentrix summoning the Merid or casting Call Lightning, whatever combination of those things. He can even drop like a Hunger of Hadar somewhere. In fact, those I might need to look at again. Those might be more useful than Call Lightning, because Call Lightning requires him to be able to point it at a spot and continue to direct the lightning down. And the party might be able to dodge it out of the way pretty well and hide inside buildings. Versus if he just did, because if he laid down another area, although then if he does that, that's the one spot he can do it at. He doesn't have to see that spot anyway. See, so Black Tentacles or Hunger for Dars, 150 feet. That's a 20-foot radius sphere. And then Everett's Black Tentacles is at 90 feet and a 20-foot square. So only a 20-foot square. It could be really good if the party's got at least 2 people nearby, and the whole restraining tentacles thing can be amazing. But that's a very limited spot. 20-foot Hunger of Hadar radius, much better. That's a Hunger of Hadar right there, so that's pretty good. That covers like a whole ship area. And I think it's a sphere, so it would like literally go, you know, through multiple levels. Versus the Black Tentacles would just be that little, what, like this or something? Actually, it had to be a square. Don't do it from the middle. Do it from the edge. Nope. Wait, what? Do it from a corner then. Oh my gosh, it's still not working. It's always pointing it from the center. Oh, snap. That's what I need. It's snap to. Sorry, I'm doing the wrong one. Snap to corner. There we go. Okay, so is it 10 feet or 20 feet? Yeah, it's not nearly as big. So I could see Hunger for Dar being pretty useful for him to throw down, especially if he knows generally where they are. He can put that up above, and then they have to deal around that zone. If they are going to stay and fight in the outer areas, then Call Lightning would be better. But his first action will probably be to step out and summon that Merid conch. I'm hoping I can do it where the party still has line of sight. God, the windows here do make it really interesting, though, in terms of line of sight. Yeah, you can actually see all the way across the other docks over there. So, or Twirl can at least. Because I really want the Colossal Octopus to appear like in this kind of area right here. It can be moving around the zone with a 25-foot reach. Allows it to grab like a bunch of people around here. If they make it that far. That'll be, in fact, that might be how I pace things. So we send Scummer out, and Tentrix steps out to summon the Merid, and they're like the front vanguard. And then if the party makes it past them, first of all, Scummer would probably go invisible and retreat. Then he can summon the Octopus in this area. And then at some point, Drown Wolfgar can come out on the second floor as well. That's another Kraken pre-stat block. Don't know if I would have Powder join the fight. She's probably the least loyal of anybody in terms of everything. He would probably try to tell her to fight. But she's just in it for like the workshop stuff and just having, I don't know. It does say she's like violent and kind of crazy though, so maybe I could have fun with that. But I think as long as I pace things out, don't make it too overwhelming for me as a DM, but still give me enough of my fun tools every round to keep things interesting. That's not just a bunch, because at this, normally this would be plenty for a party, but our party's level 10. Like, you kind of have to include a bunch of other big things going on to give them pause. Otherwise, I think they are just gonna, it's just gonna be a knockdown, drag out fight with their superior AC and attacks, probably winning out over my amount of creatures that I've got, I think. Although technically I have an infinite amount of creatures. Like, I think I lowballed it with the amount of people here, and I think it's supposed to be like that too, where they're, you know, coming and going with different pirate crews, and it's never really fully staffed. I think I even mentioned that to the party. So yeah, I think for the start of next round, I think I may literally get with Chris and tell him, hey, here's the situation. First of all, did you watch the session? I don't actually know when he gets back from vacation. You can look that up. You know, here's the situation. How do you want to be introduced to the fight? If you have any ideas. And then I will look and see which ones are included in the initiative order right now and make sure to include some more for this first round. Go ahead and probably include Scummer and Tentrix on this initiative order, I think. Is this round? I feel like this would be at least round 2. Round 1, probably everybody emptied out of the area. This would be round 2. I could maybe delay... The bad thing is, once I include Tentrix and Scummer, it still takes them another round or 2 just to get set up. So if I delay them, then I'm delaying that round or 2 setup even more. So I feel like I need to include them on this initial initiative. I may throw everybody on the initiative, and then just it's up to me to decide whether or not to actually use that person when their initiative comes up. That's usually a better way of doing it. In fact, I can keep them on the GM layer. That might be more effective. Keep them on the GM layer, and then that hides their initiative order, and then I can see that when their thing comes up, I'm secretly running them, even though the party's not actually seeing that, and then I can determine when those things happen and where they happen. Because Tentrix can summon the Merid, around here, and then the Merid can move, 60 fly speed if it needs to, so it can already move, basically up to this 3rd level where Mac is, or even beyond him, and then start raining down those abilities. The party might be like, all right, what the hell? It's like, well, you guys alerted the dungeon, and the boss has all these different things you can do to fire at the players without you guys getting close. Which rarely happens in a boss fight, I think. Usually with a boss fight, you try to make those big arena battles, these larger boss rooms. We saw that in a video game when you walk in, you're like, oh, this is a boss room. So that you have that kind of room. But this is an incredible amount of room. Like, if we're aggroing the boss now, the boss is going to start approximately 100 feet to the nearest player. Technically, Mac is within maybe 80 feet, but he won't be here for this session. So that's pretty crazy, and it's not at all a straight shot, and they have no idea where the boss is. And the boss technically wouldn't know exactly where they are either, but that's why he would just send off his, minions and stuff to get a good beat on them first. And the homunculus just let them know that they're coming, and then once the homunculus goes back out, it would be able to constantly track the players and give them pinpoint information. So I don't think that still lets him use Call Lightning, unfortunately. That'd be a pretty cool workaround if the familiar would work that way. If you can see through... It doesn't actually have the familiar spell. It's just like a buddy of his, I guess. But I don't think it lets him use Call Lightning because he still has to see the right point to use it. I just feel like Call Lightning's a cool spell for a boss to have. Be able to strike lightning bolts down every round. Instead of casting like a single concentration spell that the party can escape from, for example. Using his voice, the Kraken, will be very cool, but you can only do that literally one time the entire fight. So I don't know if I want to do that this round or maybe next round do it, but it's just a one-off, unfortunately. He can I did forget about this. He can just straight up teleport 30 feet as a legendary action. That would help him reach position, although it would also give his position away immediately after he disappears. Oh yeah, from each base he left, that's true. But still, it's a thunderous boom going off. That's something to think about too. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to try to pace it as well as I can. Let the players sleep in the bed that they've made. And throw all the crap that I've got at them. Basically, you woke the hornet's nest of the boss lair, and it's pretty open, and everybody's here. And they only just arrived. They don't really have a whole dungeon to crawl through or, hide behind or something. They don't have, they came in on a boat. There's not a good escape route for them necessarily, and they don't know the layout of the dungeon at all, whereas the villains do. So it puts them in a lot of various disadvantages to deal with. The homunculus does have telepathic, so once the homunculus returns out here, he can constantly inform Tentrix about where they are, and then Tentrix can give out orders based on that. And Tentrix may not be, he might start telling people to fan out and don't all bum rush them together, you idiots. We know that, you just saw that the lizard wizards got these big old AoEs. We need to be going in from different sides, so hopefully they can figure all that out. I need to also remember the second floor windows. They can go up to these second floor, like where Twirl is, for example, and have these guys shooting down at the party. I should definitely have them doing that. So I'll remember to roll initiative for all these guys as well. In fact, I can have people run down here and shoot down. Really take advantage of raining down so the party feels like they're being attacked from all sides. It does get tricky with a VTT when you're being attacked by tokens you can't see. But there's just no other good way of doing that when you're using multiple levels on top of each other, I think. And besides, there's plenty of targets that you can target. All right, I think that's going to do it for this Monday edition of Crafting the Deep. If you enjoy the content, as always, please check out patreon.com/Rogue Watson. Shoutouts to Platinum patrons Joe, Will, Thomas, Stan, Brennan, Santa, Eclectic Roleplayer, Christopher, Corey, Big Nut, John F, John L, Nathan, Camp Crystal, Counselor, Andrew, The Reldron, Stephanie, Patrick, Jason, Ismail, Amit, Lumpy Spud, Sharni, Warden, Harold, Unimoni, LLC, Jamie, Reese, Tom, AJ, The Eating the Dogs, and Luis. And gold patrons RPG, Paper Crimes, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, The Lizard Lounge, Jerome, Nathan, Fast Like a Tortoise, Scott, Rufus, Karen, Jerry, Glenn, Marcus, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support. I will see you for more crafting on Thursday.